sure the chainsaw is going to need fucking sharpening.
What's up, everybody? Hey, anybody on Discord, tell me if you can hear me.
And that's why I use a softball. Sawzall?
I'm on! So, I'm trying to figure out how I view the comments. New to all this. There we go.
I mean, we're talking about cutting a fucking tree down, though. Sawzall, that's not...
Alright. What's up, everybody? I'm Sparrow, and I'm here to talk about Blackjack. Number one, these are like half of the books I have. I don't know where the rest are. But these are great books to read. I mean, some of them, Blackjack Life, I haven't started this, but I don't think it's that informative as far as like how to card count. Theory of Blackjack is great. Burning Tables in Las Vegas, just started this one. I hear it's really good. Blackjack Attack, halfway through. Excellent book. Professional Blackjack, really in detail stuff, goes through more than you even need to know, but it's good to have. Then there's like Burning Down the House and Ken Houston's on Blackjack. They're just good stories. And then The Dealer, of course. And everyone's got to read this one. So today, it's going to talk about deck estimation. So let's get a cut card. So I have one. We'll just use a red card. Let's talk about penetration, deck estimation. So this is 6 decks. This is the discard tray. Now, when I walk up to a table, I'll look at how far up the discard tray this goes. And this goes pretty high up. Sometimes there's more room. And it's important to identify just so you can kind of get a basis for how tall it's going to be, estimate when halfway through is. So they'll hand a player a cut card, they cut it somewhere, they take it, move it here. It doesn't really matter where you cut it unless you're doing some shuffle tracking or some bullshit. And this is the penetration. So on a 6-deck game, you want at least like a deck and a half. So that's probably deck and a half right there. And that's a playable game right there, but you really want a deck. You want like a deck cut off and you get more. It's about a deck. That's probably a little bit more, less than a deck. But that's excellent. That's a very playable game, making it more likely to be a playoff. So once you get here, down to these cards, like your true count, you're going to be dividing by like 1.1, maybe even 1 if you get a deeply dealt shoe. I lost a card, I put it in wrong. So it'll get dealt out. You'll see the dealer deal some cards, and they'll get put here. And then you look at that, and that's like just about a deck, just a little bit over a deck. Not quite a deck and a half, but between a deck and a deck and 2 decks. So I count it as 1. So some players get confused. I did when I first started. They think that there's 1 deck penetration. So now there's only 4 decks to be played. That's not how it works. There's 5 decks still left here. So if there's 1 deck in here, you're going to be dividing by 5. Not by 4. Penetration does not affect the true count as far as like decks remaining. Oh man, it is really hot in this mask. I hope you guys can hear me okay. You have a blank screen. Oh shit. Somebody on Discord, tell me if you can see me or not. Johnny says reload. She sent to everybody. You are now presenting. Yeah, I know I'm ugly. Okay, you can see me. I'm fine. I think what I did worked. Okay, it's all good. So another trick you can do for deck estimation, because in high-low, any count system, if everything else in your game is perfect except your deck estimation is off, it can really affect your bankroll. Like, you can do over betting, you can do under betting. It's just, and that can really negatively affect you. Oh shit, Discord closed. Yeah, I don't know how to use computers. Me included, Acid. So ideally, if you can do you can do deck estimation by one deck, like half decks, quarter decks. The more accurate you are, the better. But you can get away with one deck. Like you can do one deck, you can do two decks. You see this? It's like just at two decks right there. Except if you're like at a deck and a half or 2.5 decks, and you're like, that might be 3, that might be 2. If you're not sure about the half, just do 2 decks. But that's about 2.5 right there. And a good tactic, I haven't done it here, but you can put in a deck and mark with a Sharpie on the edges, like each deck that's going up. So you can actually see and check yourself. You put a piece of paper over it so you can't see it, and then just pull it off to check it. That's a good tactic. Or you can keep, what I used to do is keep like stacks of decks and have like 1 deck and then 2 decks, 3 decks at like the back of my table. And I just take it and compare it and be like, oh, yeah, that was 1 deck. You check yourself like that. The deck estimation is very important when it comes to betting and playing decisions. And if you don't have that down, like you'll be over betting, you'll be under betting, you'll be making deviation mistakes and things like that. Oh, thank you, Nichols. Okay, hey, anybody on the Discord? I don't know how to see the YouTube comments. Are there any? Because I'm missing them if there are. But if you're new, join our Discord. I put a link in the comments. We do all sorts of AP, talk about blackjack and comps and all sorts of crazy things in the casino for advantage play. We got some really good players on there, some that do it for a living. And it's just full of knowledge. Any question you have, unlike other forums where you can post on the forum and wait like 3 days for a response. Where here, you can jump in voice chat or just chat in the lobby and get a response immediately and keep asking questions. It is an incredibly powerful tool and it's definitely improved my game a lot. So they say, let's talk about bet spreads. In a lot of books I've read, they say a 1 to 6 bet spread is enough to beat a 6 deck. Now, that's true. But when you run it through a simulation, you're beating it at like $1 per hour. And so you need a higher spread or you need to wong out. And wonging is jumping out of play, jumping in and out of play when the count's bad and jumping in when it's good. So on a 6 deck shoe, hit 17, double any 2, double after split. the house is going to have like a 0.56 advantage on you. And if you're using the high-low system, every true count you have, you add roughly 0.5% advantage. So the true count +1, say it's a $5 minimum table, you're betting $5, and you get dealt some cards. Let's just say it goes up to a true count +1. Using a 1 to 6 spread, let's explain that first. So at a $5 table, don't mind the colors of the chips. I didn't have time to organize them. They're all the same. This is a $5 chip. This is 1 unit, since this is $5 minimum. So $10 would be 2 units, and you go all the way up to $30 for 6 units. Now, like I said, a 1 to 6 hardly beats a 6 deck. It's about a $1 per hour hourly. So where that really hurts you is playing those negative and neutral counts. Even at a true count +1, since it only adds 0.5% advantage, you're still playing at a house edge of 0.06%. So you're going to be slowly losing money even at a true 1. So if you jump into a game, you want to jump in a true count 2 or higher, because at that point you have a 0.44% advantage, almost a 0.5% advantage there. Now, at a true count 1 or lower, you're betting 1 unit. And then at 2, you're betting 2, 3, 4 units, 5 units, 6 units, and above 6 units. Now, that's just a very basic bet spread. You can do it a little bit different. You can start getting to your max bet faster, but honestly, if you got a $5 game, I'd be doing a 1 to 12 spread. I'd be going $5 to $60 on that. And, you know, that's decent, but, you know, I didn't run the sim on that, but I think if you jump up to like a 1 to 8 spread, your EV doubles and you're like $2 an hour. But to make that EV better, you jump out. You jump out at those 0 and negative counts, and you're not playing. And that boosts your EV significantly if you don't play those counts. You can jump in and play a 1 to 4 spread on the 6 deck if you're only playing true count 2 or higher and still make money. Your EV will be a lot better than the playoff. So people on Discord, what else would you guys like to talk about? And real quick, like a double deck, a 1 to 4 spread beats a double deck. But generally, you're going to beat a higher EV when it comes to that, because the table minimums are generally higher. I mean, there are some $5 double decks out there. But I was running a sim on a double deck game. It's $15 minimum in a playoff, and the EV was roughly like $12 an hour with 1 to 4 spread being $15 to $60, and that was jumping up to my max bet at a true count 4. So I bet $15 at 1 and lower, then 30 at 2, 45 at 3, and then at 4 I beat 60. Anything above 4 I was at $60, and just that huge boost, like it's significantly better than 6 deck. If you have the opportunity to play double deck, it is extremely more advantageous because the count jumps around a lot more when it comes to that, because you're dividing by 2 decks. So on double deck, you're dividing by 2 decks at the first hand. And if you are good enough to do quarter deck or half deck estimations, your true count is going to jump around a lot better. And so if, let's say you get a 75% penetration where there's only like a quarter deck cut out of 2. I have 2 decks set up. So we got 2 decks here. Generally, they're dealt out of the dealer's hand. Sometimes they're in a shoe, sometimes they're face up. Sometimes they're pitch, where the dealer throws out the cards like that. You can still count pitch. I find it a little bit easier, actually. You just got to be more careful. You got to like pay attention to what cards you've already counted and whatnot. Like if you see the hand next to you, you got to remember once those cards get flipped over, you got to not count those again. But some are face up, some are mid-shoe entry, which are great. The face up games on Double Deck with mid-shoe entry are amazing. Like you can't ask for a much better game. Okay, so the penetration. So on Double Deck, you're getting 50% penetration. That's one deck out of two decks being played. This game, you can play it if you have good rules and you're by yourself at the table or there's like one other player. But if it's a full table and you're at 50% penetration, it's generally not worth it to play. But if you get into like 75% penetration, where there's a quarter deck cut out, dealing down to the last 26 cards, that is awesome. You can play that all day. And then once you get like one deck played through, and then you get down to another quarter deck, now you have 3/4 of a deck remaining. So now you're dividing your running count by 0.75. So your true count will skyrocket when it comes to that. If you have a high running count, it goes even higher. And like I said, a 1-to-4 spread can beat that. If you do a higher spread, it's much better. Your EV is going to go up, but your risk of ruin is going to be a little bit higher. But right off the bat, like I said, you deal these out, you get a +2, +3, +4. Right now, this is a fresh game. We're at a +4, 2 decks remaining. We're at a true count +2. I would be betting $30 at a $15 minimum table right after 2 hands have been seen. If you just see that and then that person hits, we're at a 3, 17, we're at a 2. So we're at a true count +1 now. No, it's not the best, but if you have double any 2, double after split, hit 17, double deck game, that's like a 0.44% edge. So at a true count +1, in this case, you have a slight advantage. You have a 0.06% advantage. So technically, you could raise your bet at a true count +1, but I would still, such a small edge, I would personally keep it down to the minimum at that point. You see a couple more hands dealt out. And that's not looking good. The count's dropping. We're running count 1. But yeah, longing out of games. Longing is like the most uncomfortable thing to do as a card counter. You got to make up excuses. You got to look natural. Like, how do you stand behind the table and just stare at the cards? Like, you're like, okay, they're going to know. So you got to like text on your phone, act like you're interested in the game, cheer for people's blackjacks and shit like that. Like, it's things I do. And then you jump in when it's good. Now, warming out of games, it's a lot better. You get up, you check your phone, you're like, oh, I got to take this phone call. And then you fake a phone call. You just stand there and like just bullshit, talk to nobody while you're back counting table, waiting for the count to go back up. But if the count like drops huge and it's going negative, it's like -4 or something, you know, your best bet is just to get up and go to the bathroom. Go to the bathroom, time it so you come back like right at the shuffle at the new shoe, and then jump in and play again. So you can always make up excuses to jump in and out of play. You can say, oh man, you just creamed me freaking 2 hands in a row. I'm not going to play. Or I need to change. We got to change up these cards, man. We're getting killed by the dealer. It's a lot harder when you're winning, though, to justify getting out. So I usually wait till I lose a hand and then just make up some bullshit about how the flow of the cards. It's another thing, a huge misconception that a lot of people have is that other players change like change the outcome of your results. Like as card counters, we're playing the long-term game. Short-term results, you don't know what the next card is. I can have a true count 7, and I can't tell you what this card's going to be. There's no way. And another thing is the cards don't know how many hands are in play. They don't know who's following basic strategy, who's not, where the dealer is. You don't know. It can help or hurt you just the same. Sometimes it feels like, oh my God, that person just hit their 16 against the dealer's 6. And then the dealer caught a 5 and made 21. And the guy took his bust card. You know, he could have taken the 5 and then that the dealer would have gotten. It goes both ways because you don't know what's going to happen. And you're going to have to deal with people. There's hardly any players that play basic strategy. Most people don't even know the different rules of blackjack. They don't understand basic strategy at all. You're going to play with bad players, period. So the best thing is to have fun with it. When you're losing, the best thing you can do is try to enjoy yourself. Like doubling down when you get an 11 and you're doubling down. What I'll always say, I was like, okay, I'll do this. I'll double down, but only if you give me an ace. They're like, what, an ace? I'm like, yes, I want an ace. I want to win with style with a 12. And they're like, okay, and it's great if you get an ace because it really sucks. But at least you can laugh about it. The whole table will laugh their asses off that you asked for an ace and it got given to you. And then if you get a 10, you get 21, you're going to be like, oh, man, why'd you give me a 10? I wanted an ace. I'm not doubling that down again. Just little things. Like you'd be getting crushed. I've been down $600, which is a lot for my small bankroll, and had a great time at the casino. You know, it's about the long-term results. If you have the skills, if you can count cards, you got your basic strategy, you got your index plays, you got your deck estimation. So important, guys. You got to have your deck estimation down. Like this is something you need to practice all the time. I used to have decks stacked up, like I said earlier, and stacks of 1 deck, 2 deck, 3 deck, all next to each other. This probably isn't right, but and I had them even in half decks against my wall on my dresser. And every day I walk by them and I just look at them like, that's 1, that's 2, that's 3 decks. This is not, there's 6 decks here, so that's not accurate. Oh, wait. No, that's probably pretty accurate. Yeah. And I just recite that. And every time I walk past it, I would look at that and identify it to help me with my deck estimation. Again, Sharpie on here, put in a deck. This would be the 2 deck mark, a little Sharpie line there. Get an index card, cut it, just like fold it right on there so you can't see it when you're putting in cards. When you check yourself, just pull it off to see the markings. Like you got to get those right. You got to know your index plays. Basic strategy needs to be second nature because you got to concentrate on counting. Then counting needs to be second nature because you need to concentrate on cover plays and talking to people. You know, get the count on the table real quick and then bullshit about the game. You're like, oh man, Diamondbacks are getting crushed. Get $10 on that game, or you know, some bullshit. Make a comment. Talk about somebody. And also learn the scanning method in my other video about my counting drills. You know, watch a slot machine, watch something else. If somebody else gets a blackjack or hits the top 3 bonus, you're like, oh my God, that person won a bunch of money. Look back, scan the cards, get the count, bullshit on. And in your head, you're going +5, +5, +5, +5, +5. And then you're going, okay, there's 2 decks there. That means there's 4 decks remaining. Divide that, you know, that's 1, true count +1 right now. Okay. Now there's 4 decks there. You know, there's 2 decks remaining. That's true count 2.5. So you got to be doing all this stuff. It's got to be second nature. And then focus on your cover game. If you're still working on counting, you know, just do your training drills every day. Count 1 deck of cards a day. Get it down. It'll become second nature to you. You still got to do work, but if you're out there playing and you're struggling with the count and everything, obviously practice, but don't worry about cover so much, especially if you're low stakes. Worry about that later. If you're focusing too much on cover and you forget the count, I mean, that's just, what are you covering now? All right, let me see. I can't see the YouTube comments, so I don't know what you guys want. I'm gonna check the Discord. Talk about cover. Oh, it's just what's Dr. Advantage? Cover talk, okay. Yeah, so cover. I take the approach of being a crazy gambler. I mean, the way I dress just shows that like I'm a little bit out there, let's say, and I'll drink non-alcoholic beer. I swear to God, I do. I mean, that to me, that kind of shows that like I have a problem. And I don't drink it all the time, but shows that I possibly had an alcohol problem in the past, and now I'm trading one addiction for the other. And you got to get excited about your hands. You can't get a blackjack, even if it's a small blackjack. You got your minimum bet out there, and you get dealt the blackjack. You got to cheer. You got to be like, yeah, I got that. Maybe I should double that down. No, I won't double that down. Okay, yeah, give it the money. You know, you got to cheer. You got to be excited. Some people take on the mad approach. I don't do that. Some people get pissed and like bang the table. I mean, it can look good, but generally I like to be liked. So when I go into my casino, I talk to the pit bosses, I talk to the dealers, because when people like you, they are less likely to suspect you of doing something. And it just makes the entire experience more enjoyable. So like I've gotten to the point with the pit boss, he enters in my player's card before I even sit down. And he's like, oh, I don't need that, I already got it in. I'm like, oh, thanks, man, how's it going? And then just bullshit with them. And what else about cover? So you gotta cheer, you gotta get excited. I always say things like when I lose a couple of hands and I'm raising my bet, I'm like, all right, gotta play catch up. Let's do this. Let's make that money back. You know, don't try to like discreetly push a huge. They're gonna notice when you have a stack of chips and you just push it there. You just sit there and you're just silent. Like you got money on the line. You got to think like a gambler. You got to think like, what would a guy be doing? What are people doing when they're betting that big money? When they're going from $15 to fucking $60? It's like they're getting excited. They're about to win this money. You got to be excited. You got to be loving it. You got to fit in with everybody else. Should you ever split tens? Okay, so splitting tens at a true count +4, tens versus a dealer 6. It's profitable to split against a 5 at a true count +5. You split at a 4 at a true count +6, and then like there's against 3 and 2 as well, but those are a lot higher true counts. But it's generally the 4 to 6 dealer up cards are what you want to split against. There's going to be more variance as you split against the lower bust cards. It depends because you're sacrificing cover and longevity when you split tens, but you're getting EV. So if you're going into a casino and you're just trying to burn it down and you're almost done with the play, and you got 2 tens, the dealer's got a 6, it's a true count +5, and you know the index play is 4, and you know you're about to get out of there, maybe you should split, but I don't split them at my local places because it's a red flag. It's a red flag. There's 2 types of people that split tens: morons and card counters. So unless you're really pulling off a great act, and you don't want to play there very long, if it's not one of your local shops, go for it. But just recognize that it's going to bring on attention. People are going to look at that. Is this guy an idiot or is he a card counter? That's what they're going to think. So at my local places, I do not split tens. And it does add to your variance when you split tens. Your expected value goes up, but you can lose more. It's the safe play, the risk averse play is to stand, but you do lose out on some EV. Very profitable deviation though. Oh yeah. No, I'm just catching up on the chat. Yeah, shout outs. Eli, Nichols, Coop, Dr. Advantage, XO. That's Nichols, I don't know if I said your name. And of course, Baby Mario, formerly known as Beast Mario. Mario, you gotta stop playing roulette, man. Stop playing those 6-5 tables. I'm calling you out, man. Cut that shit out. You don't play 6-5, people. Do not play 6-5 tables. Simple as that. It adds about, like, I think it's 1.44% house edge on a 6-5 table. Like, blackjacks are huge to card counters. That's where we're making a lot of our money back, is when we get those blackjacks. You know, you're like, oh, well, the dealer has just as good a chance to get a blackjack as I do. I'm like, yeah, that's true. I would trade that all day because he just takes my wager. I get paid 1.5. I get 150 times what I bet. That's awesome. You know, that's where the money's at. So don't play 6-5. It's just going to destroy you. You cannot be profitable in the long run playing 6-5 tables unless you're like Zen Grifter and you have years of experience and you're playing the lucky ladies and the lucky bet on a 6-5 table. I mean, it's just bad. Avoid it. You know, you got to be able to walk into a casino, look around, and if you don't see good penetration, you don't see playable games, you got to be able to walk out. You got to be able to walk out and not place a wager. If it's not an ideal situation to play, you don't play because then you're gambling. Yeah. Yeah, queens and kings are okay to split, just not the 10 cards. Oh, what else do we talk about? I mean, I just brushed over deck estimation. We could do a little bit more on that. Went over some bet spreads, you know. Risk of ruin. I mean, I'm not incredibly versed on risk of ruin. I don't have the program CBCX, but general rule of thumb I've always heard is you want at least 100 top bets should be your bankroll. So your maximum bet that you're going to put out there, that's $60, you're going to want a $6,000 bankroll for like a decent risk of ruin. I think it's around the 3% range, somewhere in there. But you can play off the idea of a replenishable bankroll. So you can limit your play. If you can put in like $500 or like $1,000 a month, whatever it is, you figure out the math of how many months it would take you saving this money to hit your bankroll. And if you got $2,000 saved or $4,000 saved, and you know, in like the next 3 months, you can get another $2,000 put into your bankroll, you can start playing off the idea that you have a $6,000 bankroll with a $60 top bet. It's just, you just got to slow down your play if you start losing more. Because you know that money is going to come in. You won't have to dip into that money, hopefully at all, but you won't have to dip into that money until it's there. So if you're having huge losing sessions, if you go down, lose half your bankroll already, like you lose $2,000 out of your $4,000 playing off a $6,000 bankroll, I mean, you should probably check your game, have somebody else test you out, and make sure you're not making any mistakes, and then, you know, take a break for a while until you can build up your capita a little bit more. Yeah, Coop's app. Oh my God, it's awesome. I don't use the card counting drills on it very much because I'm more analog type of player, but the coolest thing about this is he has a simulator, a pocket simulator. So you can just run, like that's got the number, you probably can't see it well, it's got the number of shoes to run, the decks to use, the penetration, if you want to use basic strategy, if you want to use the 22 index plays he has, and then I'll get up for this. Then you have, oh, knocked over my energy drink. You have this bet spread. I don't know, it's flipping over like crazy. And you got presets. So you do 1 to 10 spread, and shows like at what true count you're betting what unit, and set the unit side and run a simulation and get your expected value, the most you'll lose, win in a shoe. And it's great to just get an idea of what you're expected to make on that, and like worst case scenario on a shoe, best case scenario on a shoe. And the best is seeing the results of the percentage or your expected value at each true count. That you can see, like, as the true count goes up, your expected value on that hand is like 101, at true count 3 is 102, at true count 5. And then at the negative count, you see it drop. For every $100 you wager, you're losing like $95, or you're only getting back $95 on those wagers. So it really shows you that those negative counts and neutral counts will eat away at your bankroll. Like the last counts, 0, neutral, and negative counts you play, it just significantly lowers your risk of ruin if you're wonging in and out of games. Now, it is difficult to wong in and out of games, mind you, but, you know, that's where the cover comes in. You know, stand there and watch the sports game and then glance over at the table every time the cards get dealt out. Is it bad to pick up casino chips? Well, oh yeah, Johnny Carter, man. Thanks for all you do and all your Keno advice. Like, don't play Keno unless it's Cleo Keno, right? Oh, I can't scroll down in these gloves. I'm not ignoring you, Johnny. I'm just disregarding what you're saying. Oh, yeah, insurance. Insurance is a good one. If I can scroll down to the bottom of this chat. Oh, yeah. Teach you how to AP math. Nope. A card count, because it's a legal way to make money. So insurance, if you're playing a 6-deck shoe at a true count +3, at a true count +3, it is profitable to take insurance. So when you have a 12, dealer showing an ace, it's a true count +3. That's a good bet, since insurance pays 2 to 1. Let's say you got $20 out there. I need to tilt this camera down. So you got $20 out there. You bet $10. And, you know, dealer didn't have it that time, but it wasn't really a true count +3. I'm sweating all over these cards. Now, the higher the true count, the more profitable that deviation is. It's taking insurance at true count +3 or higher on a 6-deck. On a double deck, I believe it is 2.5. And on a single deck, it's 1.5. I don't play single deck. I could be mistaken on that, but I'm pretty sure that's right. So I view insurance as a side bet. I totally believe it's a side bet, regardless if it is or not. If you get it, it pays double. They pay double. You take back this bet, you broke even. But the problem is, if the pit boss is standing right there and you insure this, a 12, they're going to be like, why the hell did he take insurance? I mean, basic strategy says never take insurance. You know, that's a lot different than taking insurance when you got a 20. If you have a 20 and you take insurance, no one's really going to bat an eye. They're going to be like, oh, okay, well, he's got a good hand. Players think that you should only take insurance when you have a good hand. Now, I shied away. I used to insure any hand, any hand when insurance was profitable, I would take it. I took insurance on a 5. I had a 2 and a 3. And went out with this girl's 21st birthday. I was like, I'll help you with basic strategy. We'll play some blackjack. And I ended up, like, of course, counting cards because I can't not count cards at the table. And I was telling her, and the dealer heard me say, I'm like, yeah, just never take insurance, hit your 16s and blah, blah, blah. And that was a mistake because I had a $60 bet out there. I had a 2 and a 3. Dealer had an ace. It was like true count plus 6. And I insure my 5. And sure enough, dealer has blackjack. I get paid. I keep all my money. And right when the pit boss is standing right there, he walks over. She just goes, "You just told her to never take insurance." And I was just like, oh shit. Pit boss looks over and I'm like, yeah, but I have a 5. That's the only way I could beat you. There's no way I could beat an ace with a 5. So this was my only chance, and just tried to bullshit my way out of it. And it was a bad situation. So you generally don't want to insure bad hands, even though it's a profitable situation, if they're going to notice. Like I said, if you're trying to burn a place down, which is not my style of play, and you just try to strictly, there's some guys that just go in, they're like, I'm making as much money as I can. I'm going to generate as much EV as I can. I don't care about cover. And they just play as hard and fast as they can until they get kicked out. Then yeah, take insurance, everything. Insure a 16, Dill step. No way Dill step's on, man. Where have you been? First time you ever went to the casino. I don't know what that means. I can't even remember the first time I went to the casino. Elaborate, Dill. Okay. So insurance is a very profitable deviation. You make a lot of money on it. You just need to win insurance more than 33% of the time. If you win your insurance bet, you break even on that. If you win it 34%, you're making money off taking it. Like, it is a money-making strategy. And, but yeah, just be careful. Be aware of your surroundings. Be aware of who's paying attention and how much heat it's going to draw and what hands you're insuring for the sake of cover and heat. Yeah, I'm going to put the pressure on Doc, man. Doc's got to put out a video. Maybe go live. Maybe do a real deck estimation one, a bet spread one, deviations videos. Doc's the real deal. He's out there freaking playing for real money, killing the game. And I mean, if you see his basic strategy video, he just rambles through basic strategy faster than anybody. I got to stop and kind of think about it. Yeah, I'm sweating my balls off in this mask, and I'm wearing this big ass coat. I'm gonna take this off. All right, what else do you guys want to talk about? Now, who else needs to make a video? Frog and Exo, man. Frog, get a frog mask. Let's do this shit. Make a video. Do a high op 2 video. I don't know. He uses a more advanced level 2 system. It'd be very interesting to see that. And Exo, man, you got to make a video on how to hustle comps. Exo is excellent at comp hustling. He's one of the best out there. He's only been backed off of one casino. He's been doing this for years. Like, we got some good players on here that have a lot of knowledge. And join our Discord if you haven't already. And there's probably all Discord people on here right now. Oh. Where? See this chat popping up on my screen. Dash cough. All right, man. Yeah, you're on the site. You talk. Yeah. Props. Buying people's double downs. If someone's not doubling down, they're 11. You know, if they're just going to hit their 11, it is a profitable move to be like, I will take that double down. I'll go in with you, man. Come on, you know, I'll throw $10. You know, we're in this together. Let's take that double down and get that 10. Let's get 21 together. You know, they might take you up on it, but it is a positive EV play to double down. But splits are a little bit different. Like splitting 8s against the 10, you do not want to buy someone's split. There's money-saving splits, and there's money-making splits. And 8s versus 10 is a money-saving split. And it sucks. You got to do it, but never do it for somebody else. And you can look that up. So if you're going to start buying people's hands, double downs, and splits, it's important to look up which splits are profitable to take and which ones are not. And out there somewhere, I hope she's watching, Dashkoff's mom. I mean, I know she means a lot to Johnny. She means a lot to Dash. Hopefully Thanksgiving goes really well once Johnny comes over. But yeah, she's a really nice lady. I'm running out of stuff to talk about, guys. Give me some more material or I'm going to get off of here and drink some water. What else? Okay, so we went over almost everything as far as the basics is card counting. Just to reiterate points of know your bet spread, have somebody run a simulation for you. Plenty of people have CBCX to get risk or ruin, or just talk to people and they'll let you know on the site like what's a good bankroll to start with, if you should be longing, if you have enough to do a play all. Read some of these books. These books have like essential information to be a winning card counter. Like I don't think there's a winning card counter out there that hasn't read a couple of these books. I know they've improved my game a lot and they improved my understanding of what decisions to make and why we make them. And it just makes the whole thing a lot easier to deal with the swings and decisions like hitting your soft 18s against a 9 or a 10 and things like that. Make sure you have a proper bet spread that's able to beat a play all if that's what you're doing. And know your games. Know how to recognize a good game versus a bad game. Penetration is so important. Look for penetration. Like I said, 50% of the double deck you're going to be wanting. You can play it, but with good rules, you can play it, but you're going to want to be heads up. You're going to be wanting heads up or one other person. You do not want to play a full table with 50% penetration on a double deck. 6 deck, 1.5 penetration is acceptable. If you can get lower, 1.2 is good. 1.2, you can play all day. If you get lower than a deck penetration on 6 deck, yeah, I mean, that's awesome. It makes it a play all game. And 8 deck, you know, I think 2 decks, I've never played 8 deck, but I think 2 deck penetration is decent. It's not great, but it's playable. And then, but 1.5 is great. If you get 1 deck penetration on 8 deck, oh my gosh, that's amazing. Because the count will fluctuate. It can get even higher highs, but also lower lows with that many decks. So there is some advantage to it, but definitely it's really hard to do a play all with an 8 deck. I believe what people say is minimum spread is like a 1 to 10, 1 to 12 spread to beat an 8 deck play all. And again, that EV is probably so low, probably only $1 an hour or something that's not worth it. So if you're playing 8 decks, try to just wong it all day. And that's my basic advice. If you don't have a huge bankroll, you have to wong. Otherwise, the risk of ruin, it will catch up to you. It will get you. If you got only a couple $100 to play with, if you only got $500, you cannot do a play all. Do not do a play all. You will get creamed. You might have a lucky day. You might get you might win, but wait for your counts, jump in, jump out, make up excuses, do anything to fit in when you're back counting. And yeah, play smart, get on the Discord, talk to people, and we'll set you up and give you the right information, point you in the right direction. No one's going to be led astray. All right, guys, knocking shit over. I'm going to check the Discord one last time. How many cards are in my discard tray that I just knocked over? Well, there's 4 on the table, so I'd say 100 cards exactly. Yeah. And yeah, that's pretty simple because these are the only 2 cards missing. But yeah, practice your deck estimation, get basic strategy memorized. Perfect has to be second nature. Recite your deviations and basic strategy while you're driving to the casino. Double check yourself always. Don't play crap games. Don't play 6-5. Know your games. Know what the house edge is. And read some books. That's all I got, guys. All right, I'm getting out of here. Getting some water.